cut the salaries of vice-chancellors by half, cut the salaries of deans, cut the salaries of these groups of management consultants who are hired to tell these guys how you should teach and how many people you should have in the department. In fact, many of these management consultants should be removed forthwith from universities, from the health service, from the BBC, and from all the other public institutions where they give crap advice and are paid huge amounts.
Hear, hear.
So in terms of how to take the campaign further, let us organize a national day in defense of philosophy, in defense of quality education, and try and unite as many people as we can. Thousands of people to assemble at an agreed venue and location to take this campaign forward and to nationalize the campaign, because in general I am in favor of nationalizations. I don't like deregulation. I don't like privatization. And that is the way we should also treat a protest movement, which is small. We mustn't just think of it as our property, because what you have been doing actually is speaking up for many people who don't know it as yet, but who are going to suffer exactly the same type of behavior from universities hard-strapped for cash. So let us do that. And let us pledge also to fight for the right to learn or to be taught a subject we want to learn. That's important. Why should they decide now to cut it? You know, philosophy today, literature tomorrow, you can argue, put up exactly the same case that literature isn't cost-effective. Or that many languages aren't cost-effective, except the languages they need to go and fight wars in. And you can argue, which they have been doing, if you notice in some university campuses, they're no longer called Arab Studies departments, but they're called Security Studies. Because that's how they want to twist and turn the thing. What you study is security, or, you know, we should have terror studies. Counter-terrorism studies. In other words, making the universities total and complete instruments of the state and its needs. And that has to be fought against. Now, I don't want to keep you too long, but I was looking before I came for a poem I could read to you from one of the greatest poet-philosophers of the 20th century, which I think will mean something to you. It's a poem written by Bertolt Brecht, one of the great German playwrights, philosophers, dramatists, and poets. And I just want to say a few words about Brecht, in case some of you may not have heard of him. He left Germany and got refuge in the United States during the war, but he remained steadfast and went back. He went to East Germany because he was a communist, but he remained a dissident even there, fighting for what he thought was proper and correct. And after East Germany collapsed and Germany was unified, some of the German social democrats, more cultured than their English equivalents, were nervous that everything produced in East Germany was being described as rubbish. And Helmut Schmidt, who had been one of the leaders of German social democracy, went at a SPD conference in Germany, told the gathered people in their thousands, don't write off everything the East Germans did. Some of their stuff was pretty good and better than ours. And he said, for instance, and he mentioned music and literature, and then he said, as for Bertolt Brecht, if there was a plinth in this room, and there were three places, I would put Goethe, Heine, and Brecht on that plinth, to encourage people to read this poet and not regard him as old hat. And I'm going to read this poem to you because it has inspired me in the past. There are the thoughtless who never doubt. Their digestion is splendid, their judgment infallible. They don't believe in the facts, they believe only in themselves. Their patience with themselves is boundless. To arguments, they listen with the ear of a police spy. The thoughtless who never doubt meet the thoughtful who never act. They doubt not in order to come to a decision, but to avoid a decision. With anxious faces, they warn the crews of sinking ships that water is dangerous. Beneath the murderer's axe, they ask themselves if he isn't human too. Murmuring something about the situation not yet been clarified, they go to bed. Therefore, if you praise doubt, do not praise the doubt which is a form of despair. What use is the ability to doubt to a man who can't make up his mind? He who is content with too few reasons may act wrongly, but he who needs too many remains passive in times of danger. Thank you.